Here we go. Episode 5, Wednesday Night Wars. A lot of people are panicking now. I'm driving right now, so I'm not panicking. I'm driving on my way to the Monster Factory. I'm not panicking, but a lot of people are panicking about the ratings. I'll address that later because the ratings seem to have dropped again. I think this is the second or third week in a row. I don't think it's, or second week in a row. I don't think it's an issue, but I'll address that later. But I'm going to jump right into, again, with these shows. I try to keep all my shows within 30 minutes. I don't like to hijack you guys for too long. So I jump straight in, make quick points, and I move on. So right from jump, I began watching AEW. And I would have changed a little bit here, so just structure-wise. But there's got to be reasons why, and I'm assuming maybe it had to do with Luchasaurus being injured. But they had the Lucha Brothers come out and attack SCU before the match. And, apparently hurt Christopher Daniels' back. Hurt Frankie Kazarian's back. Christopher Daniels was injured, gurneyed off. And that's cool, that's fine, but my take on it is this. Lucha Brothers were wrestling later. They were getting the winners of this match. So, I don't understand the reasoning behind attacking them before the match, because they haven't even beaten Jurassic Express yet. They haven't beat, which were supposed to be Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, but it turned out to be Marko and Jungle Boy. But they hadn't even beat them yet. So it wasn't even a foregone conclusion that they were going to meet SCU. Plus, not only that, you have somebody wrestling in a match that wasn't prepared to wrestle. He was in sneakers and stuff like that, and the story was decent. But then what does that say about best friends, that, you're facing somebody in jeans and, actually, at the end of it, he had no shoes on, and then you get beat. And I was lost on that, and I don't think it does anything to help best friends. And I don't think it does anything really to build the story. I would have had the Lucha Brothers come out first and wrestle Marko and Jungle Boy first. Then I would have had a couple more matches. Then I would have had Lucha Brothers attack SCU. I think that tells the story better. But the only reason I'm assuming that didn't happen is because of what happened with Luchasaurus. But I think you could have just restructured the show to see what panned out. So that was okay. Okay match. It was weird. The whole time I'm examining, okay, where's this going to go? How's this going to work out? And the crowd was really hyped. And it's funny because I said last week or the week before that, it reminds me of a crowd where people are trying to react to things to show their friends how great this movie is, or trying to hype it up isn't this unbelievable? But it kind of reminds me of that day after WrestleMania Monday Night Raw crowd, which is something else. But nobody was talking about how disrespectful it was. That every time, they were this guy has no shoes and all this stuff. And, it seems only people tweet about it being disrespectful is when it happens in Monday Night Raw. But when it happens to AEW, they paint it as hey, they're just really energetic fans. Look, man, I love fans doing stuff like that. I want my fans loud. I want them having a good time. If you go to a show and you have a good time by chanting odd things, who cares? You paid your money for the ticket. You're having a good time. Odds are you're going to talk about the good time you had at a wrestling show and probably buy tickets, and probably somebody else will. So cool. Do it all you want. That's why I get upset when people get mad about it. Oh, it's so disrespectful for the people in the crowd. Really, is it? you know, and then people talk about like how they love like all these artists and musicians and how much respect they have for them, and half the time they're tripping balls and trying to have sex in the porta pots, but they love them so much. But that's for another podcast, onto its own. So yeah, there was that. I'm just going to run down AEW right off the bat just because it's fresh in my mind. I'm not doing every single match. So, like, there was that. And then we'll jump right onto the Ortiz and match. I tweeted about it last night. Because, like, they have, like, really, really good charisma. You know, so, like, I don't know, man. It's like Santana and Ortiz, they come out there and they have, like, this charisma about them, and you're, like, really interested in them, and they got that swag about them. But then, like, you know, they do, like, comical things in the ring. So, like, you start to kind of like them and start to laugh at them. And they're kind of entertaining, and it's tough as a babyface to fight up from that. Now, granted, it was pretty much a standard old school, you know, run them through the mill, get over match. So there's no really getting behind the babyface in this match. But for later on, you know, if you're going against somebody and you're trying to cheer on the babyface to come and fight from underneath, it's very tough to do when the guy putting the heat on you, you're actually entertained by him, and it's just becoming a laugh fest and a joke. So that's why I just think they have to calm down with their antics. And even like as Jericho was talking, they were both on the ramp yelling so much that like it was bleeding over to the camera feed. And you know, they just had to like turn that off. Or just somebody has to like give them like the yo, shut the hell up, because like you couldn't even hear what Jericho was saying because they were like saying best in the world and they're the best and they're the greatest tag team. So there was that. There's just those little production things and little psychology 101 stuff. And I just know, I always say it, you can never, nobody ever goes, man, this comedian, he's hilarious. Oh my God, it makes me laugh so much. I hate him. You know, so if you're going to go out there and you're going to make these guys laugh. And then someone brought up on Twitter last night about like Heenan. But Heenan made you laugh, but then Heenan would always, you know, basically slip on a banana peel and make himself look like an ass. Whether it be him falling over or him saying something and getting the words messed up, or him turning around and having like a sign on his back and everybody's laughing at him and stuff like that. That's way different than the doing cool and funny things in the ring that everybody's just, you know, digging because you got like something to you. So just, you know, be careful of that. Also, I didn't like, I'm going to jump right to the ending. I think Jake, I think he should just be very stoic and just not even like sell anything, because like you have all these different dynamics. You know, you have Santana, you have Ortiz. They're like those badass street guys. Then you got Guevara, who's like that like little swarmy young punk. You got Jericho, who's like the grizzled vet. And then like Jake is just trying to find his way, and I think he should just be like no sell everything and just be badass, stare into space, and then when the bell rings, just destroy you. It just doesn't fit for me for him to be jumping around and whooping and hollering and throwing champagne and stuff. It just doesn't work for me. But that's just me. That's how I would do it. You want all different dynamics in the team, not somebody trying to be what others are. Yeah, so like, and I tweeted last night, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's very difficult to figure out the rules for AEW. And it's very confusing. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I was trying to think of what it reminded me of, and it kind of reminded me of, like, the XFL, and you're, like, watching it, and you're, like, not sure the rules. You know what football is, but you're used to these other rules, and you're watching these guys, you know, get pass interference and check down the field and hands to the face and whatever, and they have these odd names on their back and stuff, and you're like, I'm not used to this. So I mean, like, I just think it's like one of those things where, like, I don't know if people are going to get used to it or they're going to change it. But I just think it's hard to follow when you really aren't having rules for tag team matches and people are doing whatever they want. And and I understand you're trying to do a new product or a different product, but at the same time, you have to have some kind of structure and some kind of rules. And to say that it's like the referee's discretion is very a slippery slope. And because then you're just, when's it going to mean anything when somebody gets disqualified, or what's it going to mean when somebody sneaks to cheat and stuff like that? And that's why, like, I was thrown off a little bit in that Darby match with rope breaks on a no DQ, and then, like, Jake trying to sneak down. I think, like, Jericho should have just, after he taped him up, should have just beat him, and that was that. I don't think he should have had to have Jake come down and do anything. That's my take on it. And sorry if there's any noise, folks. I'm driving to training now, so I multitask, and I have a headset on. And I'm next to an ice cream truck that sounds like it's a 18-wheeler, and why an ice cream truck's out at 50 degrees is beyond me. But that's life, and that's I don't have a studio and all that other stuff. I'm just driving to training. So yeah, that's what threw me off about that. And the controversy with Marko and Jungle Boy, like, I don't get behind that. I don't understand it, because I have people that are all kinds of different sizes and shapes at the Monster Factory. We've had people, 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, but they can go, and both these kids can go. And I think Marko's getting most of the heat, but it is what it is, man. And you're not going to convince all these people, and they're not going to look back and see Rey Mysterio when he got his start and how small he was. And, people understand Marko's still young, but if I was Marko, I would definitely just start hitting the gym more, and I would start to try to get some size on me, because you're not going to grow. You're not going to get taller. But I just think you need to do yourself a favor and give people a reason to stop doubting you. And I think one of those reasons is just to get a little bit bulkier, a little bit more size, a little muscle tone to you, a little bit more. That's about it on that. I thought some of the stuff they were doing was innovative. I liked a lot of the action in there. But then again, it's hard to follow because it was just it was crisscross, all over the place, and everything going on, and tags happening and not happening, and who's the legal man, and this and that, and it was just a lot to absorb. It was pro wrestling in name only, it appeared at times. And it doesn't mean it's not a great product and things aren't awesome there. It's just tough for me to follow as someone who likes pro wrestling. Like, if it's going to be a tornado match, just call it a tornado match. If it's going to be, that's what I didn't understand. Like, you had the stipulation of this match is a Philadelphia street fight, but nothing really made me think street fight until he put the duct tape on him and, brought out the skateboard. Other than that, there was really no plunder. There was no bedlam. There was really nothing that made me think Philadelphia street fight, especially in Philly. And I think if this is where AEW gets away with it because they're brand new and stuff, and I think, like, they're the internet darlings right now, and everybody wants to be part of the new thing. But I think if Raw advertised a Philly street fight and that happened in a Philly street fight, the scrutiny would be out the window or out the door of how much scrutiny they'd be going under. It's just it takes me back, and I got to remember that a lot of these people are just, they got those rose-colored glasses on, and that's fine. But I think you got to be fair to both products, and that's the way I treat it. Is like somebody, I pretend, I don't know anything about either of them, and I'm just watching. And I'm just watching for the first time or second time or whatever, and I know nothing about nothing. So, like, that's the way I look at it. Again, We saw the tag team stuff going on in the tag team tournament, and that's cool. But again, like they say, the Dark Order had a first round bye. Still don't know why. I just don't know why. There's nothing explained. I don't know why the Dark Order has a first round bye. I thought the girls' match was really good. Again, I'm just going down things really quickly. I'm just looking at my notes. Just looking at my notes real quick. All right, so like that was it for that. I thought the tag team match was good. My DVR was messing up, so I missed the story of why Moxley turned on Pac. Completely missed it. I was watching some of the match last night, and I was going back and forth. And what I usually do is I watch matches back and forth the night of, and then on Wednesday or Thursday I watch both of them back, completely uninterrupted. And for some reason, some of the matches were interrupting for AEW today. NXT was fine. I could watch that. But anyway, there was an issue, and then all I saw was Moxley give him the finger, DDT, and it was over. And then they just creamed him, and it was over. So I missed the story there and why that went down. I was a little taken back by that. It's all over the place. It seems like people don't really have an identity. There's no. It's very tough. Like other than I guess Cody. I can't think of the clear-cut baby faces there. Of course, the Jurassic Express and stuff like that. But it just seems odd to me. Is Moxley a face? Is he a heel? What's going on? Just some strange stuff going on, and nobody really has an identity. That was it. I didn't think. I think out of all the shows that there was so far for AEW, I'd have ranked last week number 1, the first show number 2, and then this is last place. I wasn't a big fan of it, even though it was in Philly, and I love me some Philly and all that stuff, and it's right down the road from us. It just it seemed flat for me, and all over the place, and production was still great. And I think it's at that point now where it's just something different. And it's going to take getting used to, and everybody's going to have to hit their stride. And I know nothing about backstage or stories or anything, so I'm curious if there's just a lot of hands in the kitchen, or if one person's doing it. I don't know if they have plans going 6 months to a year down the road. I don't know, but there's something just doesn't seem right with what went on last night. It just didn't seem too consistent with things, and just seemed off. So getting to NXT, Ciampa came back. Thought that was good. I could have done without the little bit of comedy he did with the flag and all that for Angel. I think what he should have done maybe is just had a sound win. I don't think he needed to do the things with the flag and some comedy stuff and all that, and then have to throw it in, and then he does basically does Randy Orton's DDT from the ropes, but they called it something else, and so it's just a little weird there. I thought the pieces going back and forth with the era was good. I thought the USB was a nice little twist to it, because it's kind of like, how many times can a camera be backstage when someone's being jumped? So I thought that was kind of good that they did it themselves. So that was cool. The Riddle Bronson match was good. It was, it was to be expected. Good back and forth. It was surprising to see him kick out of the knee from Riddle, but it was what it was. It was a good back and forth and a good handshake at the end. And I'll say this, consistently now, the matches at NXT have been above and beyond what is at AEW. They just have. They can't compare. I don't know any match that happened so far at AEW on their 3 shows that could compare with almost 90% of the NXT matches. It's really weird because, like, going into, like, AEW launching, it was like, this is going to be different wrestling, this is going to be wrestling the fans like, this is going to be what the fans want, this, and this. But then, like, AEW is the kind of matches that, like, they were kind of talking about. Or, I mean, NXT matches is kind of the matches they were talking about, like, the fans-wise. Like, all those matches are, like, the internet darling matches. I mean, they were bringing it. Every match last night was, was good. There were some hiccups here and there, but it was a solid, NXT's show was solid top to bottom with consistent, hard-nosed wrestling action, good production. They didn't need the smoke, the mirrors, and all that stuff. It was just, straight good production and wrestling, bell-to-bell wrestling. I mean, the Imperium and Burchill and Oni was unreal. And I know they got more in their tank that they could do even more of, because I've seen it firsthand when I was down there. I saw a match, they went like 25 minutes. And, Keith Lee and Dijak, you got to be kidding me. Like, unbelievable. And not only that, then it goes into the main event with, again, we had Monster Factory's Riddle. Now we got Monster Factory's Damian Priest in the main event. And they tore the house down. There was people that were doubting Dunn versus Priest, and I wasn't down. I knew that. I've seen Damian, I've known him for 14 years now, 15 years, and I know what he's capable of, and I knew they take the reins off, they let him go, and he'll be absolutely fine, and him and Dunn delivered. Dunn can go, Damian can go, and those kicks back and forth, and the shots back and forth, and then the teasing and going back to the callback with the hand and the finger and all that, like, that is like psychology 101, and I loved it. And I loved the ending. Ref misdirection, boom, as Mara said, bullseye, and the win, the finisher with the win. Not just I kick you and I pull, I hit you with the, a roll up or something. No, man, you get that finisher in there too. He's hurt. He's just stunned. And that, I think, is unbelievable. I think it's perfect ending. I thought both shows were good, but I just thought NXT's was way better. Again, with the ratings, I mean, AEW is going to get the ratings now. They have the fresh new toy. And here's the thing with the ratings, how everybody's panicking, and the ratings aren't that high, and this, and this. You guys have to understand, Monday Night Raw debuted in 93, okay? It took a while for that to pick up steam. It was like a good 2 to 3 years before the Monday Night Wars began. This was, hey, we're going to have a show, and we're going up against each other. No people getting used to it, no anything. Just, hey, we're jumping in the mix. We're going to go Wednesday. We're going to run for 2 weeks, and then you guys are coming on Wednesday. So, like, it wasn't established programming. It wasn't muscle memory for the viewer to come home to watch wrestling on Wednesdays. People were just getting used to watching wrestling on Wednesdays. So, like, the first couple, yeah, they made that appointment to watch it. But they have to get used to watching wrestling on Wednesdays. I don't care how good it is. You have to get used to it. And that's what you saw with the Monday Night Raw. It picked up viewers. It got people watching. Then next thing you know, Monday Nitro comes on. Okay, all right, now it's getting interesting. Let's watch both. Let's watch this. Let's watch that. And, you saw those ratings go up and down, up and down, up and down. And, so that's what it is. I don't think you should panic about it. I think it's just people aren't used to watching wrestling on Wednesdays. It's been a while, and especially with two products, and especially I think starting at this time, kids are just back in school, it's fall, people are out, people are doing things. I just think it's one of those things where like we're just going to have a like wait and see. And I think what honestly what I think AEW is doing a good job with is raising their brand awareness by going out to these places and doing these interviews with Cody and Brandy and MJF and stuff like that. Because what it does is it gets those casual people that might not tune in to tune in. Oh, I'm watching, Good Day Today or whatever, and oh yeah, well, they keep saying TNT 8 o'clock Wednesdays, TNT 8 o'clock Wednesdays. Let me tune in. So I think like that's what's helping them too, and I think it's very smart. But I think what everybody has to try to do, and I was actually discussing this with somebody today, both companies need to go out and not just get the wrestling fans, because the wrestling fans are watching. What they need to do is make wrestling fans. Like I always say, I like to expose the business to new fans. So how do you get them in? It's not just with guest stars and this, and this, but you have to show the art form that is pro wrestling. And I think like what you do with that is you get as much free content out there that you can. You make personal experiences for the fans as much as you can, so you can find something that goes viral for certain reasons, or speaks to somebody else who might love the art form that is pro wrestling, but not necessarily would ever give it a chance. I always talk about the show The Ultimate Fighter. My wife hated MMA. I always loved it. She could not watch it no matter what. Guess what? We saw the show The Ultimate Fighter. She became a fan of the series, so she became a fan of the people, which made her want to watch UFC. The product changed none whatsoever. It was still the same product when we watched it. Still the same show that she said was gross, and it was barbaric, and it was awful that we're watching this, and it's stupid, and I have no interest, and I don't understand anything, too. I love this. I got to know the people. I got to know the fighters. I get to see what goes into it. I can get behind this. And I think that's what needs to happen with pro wrestling. I used to watch football, and on Sundays, I don't know if they still do it because I have no time to watch football. But I know as a kid, they'd have like Terry Bradshaw or somebody sitting down to interview somebody by like the fireside and just do a candid interview. And guess what, man? It would be a quarterback I hated. But then all of a sudden you'd find out a little bit about his real life and a little bit about this and about his struggles. And you're like, man, I got to root for him. Or I got to watch him now. And you got like some kind of vested interest as opposed to I'm Braun Strowman, I'm strong, and I go, oh, get these hands. I know nothing about him. Like I see like on his Instagram and stuff like that, he likes to go out shooting and guns and his dad played softball and stuff. But like, why not the WWE put that over more? And like I see like all these like great documentaries like on the WWE network, and everybody's going to subscribe to the WWE no matter what. I think that are wrestling fans. I think you take like a majority of those like realistic docu-series and behind-the-scenes stuff, and you just throw them on YouTube, and you just get them out there so like as many people can see them as possible. And you get a campaign started like saying that you're releasing all these things, because you have to convert people to be fans of the product and pro wrestling in general for everybody to benefit. I saw firsthand when somebody, they came out to do a documentary on us. And they weren't wrestling fans. They just, wanted to shoot some footage, and they thought it would be pretty cool. And they got to see everything, and we pulled the curtain back, and they got to watch us training and see the arguments, see the fights, see the hugs, see the tears, see the joy, see the laughter. And they were just like, this is no different than, this documentary we did on this, and this show that we did on this. More people got to know about this. How is it that nobody knows? And I said, well, because in pro wrestling, people like to, quote-unquote, protect the business and don't like to pull the curtain back so they see all this. Although I always say it, man, oh, man, I've seen the making of so many movies before I saw it, and it never stopped me from seeing the movie. You know what I mean? Like, it never made me go, oh, this is fake. I never believed that the Terminator 2... You know, the T2000 was really liquid metal, and it was really killing people and really doing everything, and I saw the making of it and all that. It still made me watch the movie, still killed it at the box office, still did everything. So I think if we pull the curtain back and we explain exactly what goes into pro wrestling, it's only going to help it. And then guess what? Then the fans don't act so like, oh, look, I'm smart, I'm informed. You're not smart and informed if everybody knows it, if everybody knows every secret about it. You know what I mean? So I think like that's what we need to do is we need to basically expose wrestling to as many people as possible to get as many fans as possible. Wrestling fans are going to be wrestling fans. We need to convert people. And a lot of the people that are wrestling fans now are wrestling fans because their parents grew up loving wrestling in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. So we have to get new fans and convert them, not just the kids of fans, you know, stuff like that. So we're at 30 minutes, man. It went really quick. I'm about to pull up to the Monster Factory now. Sorry I was all over the place with this thing, but like I said, I don't think the ratings are really an issue. I'm sure, like, you know, the suits and the bean counters, they're going to be angry. They're going to be trying to figure things out. But it's not a panic thing to me. You have to ride this out for a while because you have to have a consistent product for people to tune in consistently. And it's been, you know, I think 4 or 5 weeks, 5 weeks for NXT on USA, and it's been 3 weeks for TNT and AEW's relationship. So I don't think you panic. I think you have to get this to become must-see TV, and then it'll take off, and that's what's going to happen, and everybody's going to prosper from it. But I gave. You know, I thought NXT was way better. I think the matches were better. I just think AEW's trying to figure some stuff out, and they hit a couple hiccups. And we'll see how it is next week. It looks like a good setup of matches, and I'm looking forward to AEW and NXT next week. The news I was saying about like what's the future going to hold. Basically, our reality show is edging closer and closer to being hopefully done. I know our production team that optioned us we're in LA last week, and they're in New York this week. So I'm just waiting, and we have a special guest coming in next week that hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys about. I can't really say anything now, but that's what's going on in my wonderful life. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Follow me on Twitter, The Danny Cage. On Facebook, The Danny Cage. On Instagram, Real Danny Cage. All right, guys and girls, have fun. Enjoy it, man, and don't take life too seriously. And don't take wrestling too seriously. It's an awesome sport. All right, love you guys. Bye.